So today I want to go ahead and show you some of the tips and tricks on how I went about retouching this sunset on Lake Dillon, Colorado is where this photograph was taken. But real quick before we get started, for those that are new to my channel, if you go to Michael J. Bauer Photography and just scroll on down, I do have a lot of great tutorials to check out. So just go down to where it says photography tutorials. And you can come through here and just click the right arrow to find some of the other good ones that might help you out. And then just below that, I have photography, social media marketing. A lot of people have been helped out greatly with these videos. It's a great way to kind of get you up and started for selling your photographs. So if you are interested in making some money with your photographs, I'd definitely check out the photography, social media marketing section here. Okay, this photograph was taken this past summer up in Colorado, and this lake is called Lake Dillon right here. And I had a feeling that the sunset was going to be pretty amazing, the way the clouds were kind of hanging over the mountains here. So I actually drove down this road called Swan Mountain Road, which you can kind of see in the backdrop here, and parked here in a big parking lot. I went ahead and made my way over to the shoreline here where I set up the tripod. And the settings I finally ended up using on this particular photograph was a speed of 1/50th of a second. My aperture was set at 7.1. I find that 7.1 aperture works really good for sunrise and sunset shots. And my ISO was up at 400 ISO on this particular photograph. Now I want to show you real quick the before and after. So this was taken in RAW format. As you can see, by shooting RAW, the photograph kind of looks really plain and boring looking. But because of all the information that was stored in that RAW photograph, I was able to bring out a lot of the colors and retouch it to make it into one pretty amazing sunset here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on how I went ahead and retouched this. So let me hit the reset button. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is under the basic tab here. So if you click your tab where it says basic, I'm going to go to the highlights. And on this sunset, I want to take the highlights way down. So I think about this one, I'm just going to take it all the way down to -100. And I want to take the shadows up to +100. And the great thing about shooting RAW, it just stored all this good information in the foreground. So it brings out the beech wood and everything right here. Next thing I want to do is bring the whites up. So I'm going to hold my Option key down on my Mac, which is your Alt key on Windows. So I'm going to push it down and click and go to the right until I start seeing some colors blow through the blacks here. And then I'm going to go to the blacks here and I'm going to bring this down to the negative just a little bit. Okay, just below the blacks here, you're going to see clarity, vibrance, and saturation. So let's go ahead and just take this up to about a +15. Seems to work pretty good. And I'm going to scroll down under the Hsl Color and black and white tab here. So if you click on that, I want to be under saturation. So I'm just going to bring some of these colors up just a hair. The oranges, I might bounce them up to about +12. So let's take the yellows up to about 16. And then the purple and magenta, I want to bump those up just a hair. Okay, the next tab down under split toning, right here once again, you can just hit the little tab there. I always like to use this for the sunrise and sunset shots where it says highlights. So what I'm going to do is take the saturation up to probably about 15. I'm going to bump it up even a little more. Let's go about 21 or 20. Now where it says hue, I'm going to click on this tab and I'm just going to scroll this across. And I'm going to find a position where it just looks best. Right around 250 seems to work pretty good for this one. So this is actually a really good tab to use to play around with for your sunrise and sunset shots. Scrolling down a little bit under sharpening, let's go ahead and sharpen this picture up a little bit. So let's take it up to about 50. And where it says masking, I'm going to hold my Option key down, which is your Alt key on your Windows computer. I'm going to click and everything in the white is going to get sharpened. So I'm going to drag this over and just want to sharpen the main features here. Noise reduction, there is a little bit of noise in this photograph, so I'll just take this up to approximately 30. Seems to do pretty good. Under lens correction, I'm going to enable profile correction. If it says none, which this one does, I'm going to go ahead and click on it and go to the lens I was using. So let me just find that and click on it. Okay, under the transform tab, if you just click on that, this was sitting on a tripod which wasn't perfectly level. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the auto. And as you can see, it automatically leveled the scene here and made it look a lot better. If you just click the effects tab now, under highlight priority, so make sure you're under that. And under the amount, I'm just going to take this down to about a -7. And then at dehaze, I want to bring this up to, I'll probably take it to about 5. So there's a couple more things I want to do to this to really make this pop. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to the graduated filter, click on that. I'm going to hold my option key down to reset. So right where it says effects, every time I hit my option key, which is your alt key on Windows, you'll see a reset, and I'm going to click once. It's going to reset all my settings here. So next thing I want to do under temperature and tint, I'm going to actually bring these up. I'm going to take one to about 52 or 49, and I'll take this one up to about 49 or 50. Now what I want to do is come over here and I'm going to click and drag this graduated filter down just a little bit. I'm going to click it and just kind of bring it into position here. So what I'm trying to do is kind of make this upper part pop a little bit. This is a cool little trick here. I'm going to bring the exposures up just a little bit more. You kind of play with it to see what looks best. And then we drag this down just a hair more, kind of get it in position. So it looks like right there works pretty good. Once I feel comfortable with that, I'm going to hit done. So the last thing I want to do, I'm going to come right here to the radial filter, click. Once again, I'm going to hold my option key down to reset, which is your alt key. I'm just going to take the exposure up just a little bit to, let's say, 23. I'm going to make a big circle right here, kind of going over the photograph. And my idea is I want the focus to kind of, a person's eye to kind of lead out towards the mountains here. So now I'm going to come over here and kind of play with the settings a little bit. So I bump this exposure up. I'm going to bring the clarity up just a little more to make it pop, and bump the saturation just a hair more. Okay, once I feel good with that, I'll hit done. Okay, so that's just some tips and tricks on how I go about retouching my sunset photographs. And once again, let's check the before and after. So as you can see, the before looked kind of dull, not so great, and the after we're able to really bring out some cool colors. So I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, definitely subscribe and hit that like button down below. Stay tuned for some future videos coming up. I have some really cool Southwest adventure videos I'm working on from a trip I just got back from. Also, I have a lot of really good tutorials coming down the pipeline. So until then, we'll catch you guys on the next video. Have a good one.